Cam Coleman needs to take over this game against South Alabama.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us. And this is the first time we've recorded since the news that happened earlier this week with Charlie Kirk being shot. We're not going to spend much time on it because you guys click on this for an Auburn show. Just Darrell and I recognize that there's a lot of people hurting. I went to social media a few hours after it happened, and I just said, make sure you tell the people in your life that you love them, and just want all of you to know, I love you. Darrell loves you. You are loved. Now let's pivot to talk about something like football. I think Darrell, I think Cam Coleman needs to take over this football game. I think some of it needs to be Cam Coleman's execution. I think some of it needs to be Jackson Arnold looking his way first, which has been a key thing early in games. I'd like to see it a little bit more consistently. And also, let's get him in the end zone. I mean, we talked all offseason about how he has a chance to be one of the best receivers in college football, and I think he has in small sample sizes. Let's make that sample size larger. Let's continue to go to Cam Coleman early and often and give him the opportunity, regardless of what South Alabama does. Get him involved in the football game.
There are ways that you can do that without forcing things. I'll
Correct.
be honest, the first two games, why you haven't seen it more, you saw it more last week than the Baylor game, it's getting ramped up, is because I think Hugh Freeze is purposely trying to get away from the temptation to force the ball to him. And
Sure.
I'm telling you, watching it from the eye in the sky, people are shading that way. Other than quick hitters on the outside, they are completely taking him away. And that's leaving Fields and eventually Singleton and Malcolm wide open. So the temptation there is to not force it to him.
Yeah.
But I think if you're an innovative play caller, you can come up with ways to get the ball in his hands in safe spaces where you're not forcing it to him. Quick slants, quick screens, quick hitters, stop and goes. There's a lot of different things that I think Auburn just hasn't shown yet, because maybe I think they're going to need that down the road. You know, when you want your best players to make the plays in the most important moments. So I think you will see a more concerted effort to get the ball in his hands more. It's not like you can run Cam Coleman on a reverse or a jet sweep like you can Eric Singleton, right? I mean, I guess you could, but you don't use him that way. You also don't want him trying to hurdle dudes as well and get hurt which was a really impressive.
Not in that situation, for sure.
No, but that's just his instinct.
Isn't worth it.
That's his instinct. That shows what he's all about. So yeah, I agree. I think you're going to see that and look for that early in this football game Saturday, tomorrow.
Yeah. And look, I get that they're going to shade towards Cam Coleman's direction. I do think, talked about with Dave Schultz yesterday when we crossed over with Locked On Sunbelt, and we'll talk about South Alabama's belief in this game in a second. But eventually, it might be tomorrow. It might be next week against Oklahoma. I can't see it going past that. But there's going to be teams that say, hey, we've got to stop the run when we play Auburn. Yeah, they've got these receivers. All three put out the graphic of, the highest paid receivers in the SEC, and both Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton are on there. And I kind of question the numbers on some of them. Like, I think Malcolm Simmons is close as well. But to me, you're going to see it. And I think you're going to see it tomorrow, honestly. I don't know how you can watch the first two games and think what Baylor did was the right move defensively, and then Ball State is Ball State. Like, I think South Alabama believes they can win this football game. And to beat Auburn, I think you have to stop the run. I think you have to stop the run and make Jackson beat you with his arm. And if you want to pull off an upset like South Alabama is going to try to do, you have to turn the ball over. And it's easier to force turnovers when the ball's in the air. And so, to me, I'm predicting South Alabama is actually going to play this game defensively to try to win. not just try to keep it close like what Ball State was trying to do. And I think there's going to be opportunities there. I think there's going to be one-on-one opportunities. I hope Jackson throws it up. I hope Cam Coleman brings it down, or Eric, or whoever. But I'd like to see Cam Coleman put together a highlight reel against South Alabama.
You've provided a beautiful segue into segment 2 as to why I wanted to focus on the running game. Go
ahead and go there. That's okay.
It's a trailer. You've provided a trailer, right, for the movies?
Sure. Yeah.
I think that eventually people are going to be converted and come aside and think, okay, Auburn's running game is really proficient. We got to stop the run. And I hope and pray that is before the Oklahoma game. So what I would like to see, although I'd love to see Cam Coleman go off and Jackson throw for 300 yards, I would love to see Auburn one more time run it down an opponent's throat, rack up 300 yards on the ground, and make Venables and the Oklahoma defensive coordinator go, we got to stop the run. We got to respect the run. I want to see it one more time. I want that seed planted before you play Oklahoma so that there are opportunities through the passing game.
Let me ask you this, and that makes total sense. Do you think Auburn has the horses? I'm talking full unit, O-line, QB, receivers blocking downfield, running backs, tight ends blocking, to run at an elite level against Oklahoma, against Texas A&M, against Missouri, against Arkansas, whose defense has been a little bit questionable, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Alabama? Like, do they have the guys to have that elite style of running game consistently, or has it been matchups up to this point?
I think it's going to be more difficult to do that, but you can do it with a little bit of misdirection.
Sure. And
do it with RPO. So where instead of just lining up straight and saying, I'm going to run it right down your throat like they did against Baylor, surprisingly, and when they did it against Ball State, misdirection, the RPO game, trickeration, that kind of thing will enable you to keep teams off balance a little bit. And yes, you can't. Like, do I think that Auburn can run it for 200 yards against an SEC foe? Yes. But how that looks is going to be a lot different. It's going to be more jet sweeps.
A top 5 SEC foe?
What now?
Like a top 5 SEC team? Which no, I think we could put Oklahoma there right now. Right?
I think the goal needs to be run for some modest yards against Oklahoma, 125, 150, and then hope that they're overplaying the run and you can throw it for 250. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. But see, Jackson Arnold's going to.
If Auburn runs it for 150 and throws it for 250 against Oklahoma, like Auburn wins that game.
That's the hope, right? I'm not saying that's the real.
I understand. Yeah.
Jackson Arnold's going to have a big part of any of that success on the ground. He just is. Auburn's going to have to realize he's going to have to run it 6 to 10 times against opponents like that for it to be effective in an RPO game. They're going to have to. They're going to have to give it to Singleton 3 or 4 times on jet sweeps. They're going to have to let Cobb and Alston carry it 15 times. It's doable, but it's doable with misdirection and RPO and trickeration and keeping the defense off balance rather than just lining up like Auburn used to do and just say, here, I'm giving it to Jarquez, let's go, or I'm giving it to Tank, let's go.
I got you. Yeah.
But if you throw off that, Zach, you will have big chunk plays. And I think there'll be big yards, big opportunities for big plays if you do that.
I agree. South Alabama has hope and belief going into this game. You have to change that as close to kickoff as you possibly can. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. And there are moments to do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. This week's moment that kept the game moving forward, I'll say Jeremiah Cobb's long touchdown runs from a week ago. I think it kept the movement moving forward, as well as Darrell Robinson's long touchdown run. Super unfortunate that all those injuries happened with him. But when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Drip Drop. Darrell, we all operate better when we're hydrated. You've been killing it at those boot camp things, working your tail off. It's important to be hydrated because you feel it not only right after the workout, but you feel it all the next day until the next one. Hydration is big. Drip Drop can help you with all of that.
I never realized how important hydration was until I started doing this at my age too.
Yeah.
So especially I start earlier in the day. I don't wait until after or during. It's a process, man.
Yep. When you're on top of your hydration, everything works better. Energy, mood, focus, even your skin. You got to try Drip Drop. It's doctor developed, scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell, South Alabama has hope in this. First time the two teams have played in the history of this series, which is exciting. This is a big game for South Alabama. They have an opportunity to really make a statement in the state. They won some favor over by, not rolling over against Tulane a week ago and making that a closer game than everybody predicted. And they're going to have an opportunity to prove, hey, we're a legitimate threat in the state when it comes to college football. They have that chance. They have that opportunity. And rightfully so, they're excited about it. They should be. Nobody's pushing back on that. Auburn needs to say, you can be excited, but we're going to take all of that hope away from you very, very quickly as soon as the ball is kicked off. And that will be a different trend than how Auburn has started their first two games. Auburn needs to start fast, make this a boring game quickly, and to the point where South Alabama looks up, there's a bunch of screaming fans at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and it's like, oh my goodness, we're halfway through the first quarter, and we're down 2 scores. That needs to be Auburn's goal in this. Start fast, start consistently, start strong, and at that point, the game will be in hand, and we don't have to worry about any of these narratives of, oh, Auburn played with their food. Auburn played down to their level of competition. Get all that out of here. Get all of that out of here. Auburn needs to kill their will quickly.
Look, I said this in the earlier in the week. There are not Sun Belt teams are not intimidated coming into state. They're just not. They expect to win. They expect to win.
It's a big deal for them.
South Alabama beat Mississippi State a couple years ago. Troy had Clemson on the ropes. Teams like Louisiana, which used to be Louisiana Lafayette, they expect to win. You know what App State has done. It's documented. They've beat North Carolina. So look, you cannot take this game lightly. Think of it as an FCS opponent. Even think of it as a Ball State who is completely overmatched. They have better athletes. At the end of the day, South Alabama has better athletes than Ball State. At the end of the day, though, Auburn just needs to worry about Auburn and be Auburn. They've got more depth. They've got more talent. And at the end of the day, that will, I think, play itself out. But I agree with you. You don't want to start slow and let a team like this believe in themselves and have them hanging around. If you can get a couple quick hitters, get a couple 3-and-outs, and then you score on the backside of those 3-and-outs, then doubt starts to creep in. And they're like, well, maybe we are in over our heads a little bit. Belief is a strong thing, man, and you know that. And if you go into halftime down 14-7, you're like, hey, we're one. You cannot. You have to take their hope, their heart, and their soul. And then when you're up, don't fool around, like you said, and play with your food. Knockout punch, step on the throat, all the cliches that you want to use. Put it out of reach. It's not going to be easy. But if Auburn plays at the level they're capable of playing at and worries about Auburn, and focuses on Auburn, they should. It's if the turnovers that happen, if Auburn makes self-inflicting wounds, if Auburn comes out flat and not motivated and hyped because they think they can just roll the ball out there and win because who they are, then you're going to have an issue. And so I hope Hugh Freeze has really cultivated an environment this week and shown clip after clip after clip. I would indoctrinate that team with Georgia State, New Mexico State highlights until they wanted to stick their finger down their throat and throw up. I would have them just really, really feeling that, okay, look, there are people that still think that South Alabama, this is the old Auburn, that we lost to, that kind of thing. Just whatever you have to do, and then show the Sun Belt is viable and make sure they understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the Sun Belt as a conference is underrated. I think South Alabama does some things really well. There are certain matchups that Auburn should dominate. Both sides of the line of scrimmage, Auburn's receivers versus South Alabama's defensive backs. A lot of young guys that have some upside, but they're raw. You should take advantage of that. I mean, to me, I think a lot of what they do, especially defensively, is like it's like a not as good Baylor. And so attack them the same way you attacked Baylor. Get this game over by the third quarter, and then let's start focusing on Oklahoma, because that's really where this thing gets going.
There's two components of this too that we don't know until game time. That is a big, big storyline for South Alabama. Their two best defensive players, the linebacker Myrick and then Goodwin, and I don't know where he plays, both got hurt early against Tulane. Myrick with a head injury and did not come back in the game.
According to, in the crossover yesterday, Schultz does not think that they're expected to play.
Yeah, and Applewhite is being very coy about it, saying they're day-to-day. It's hopeful that they play. That's exactly what he's going to say. It needs to say.
Sure.
Because Auburn – but if Myrick and Goodwin don't play, it's going to be even more difficult from a South Alabama defense that's giving up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very good players, and they're a key. I mean, Myrick is supposedly this preseason favorite for Sun Belt Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. So we'll see. I don't know. A head injury is a little bit, do you want to risk playing two of your best defensive players in a non-conference money game on the road when you've got Sun Belt games coming up?
Yeah. I mean, it's important as far as like what it could do emotionally and for your program, but the game's not important for you winning your conference. And so we'll see how they handle all of that. Our final picks, our final predictions, and we'll kind of throw out a few other questions in there about Deuce Night next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend and time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered. Powered by DoorDash, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deserved it when it matters most. Let's break it down. Darrell, my MVP, I just mentioned Jeremiah Cobb, so I will pivot and give some love to Keldrick Falk, who, I mean, it has been unblockable so far this season. He's been electric and a big part of why Auburn currently leads the SEC in tackles for loss.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's drawing double teams. He's such a presence. Cobb is the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
He's to pick on that. So I'm going to go with Xavier Atkins.
I love it.
I kept saying to myself, because at the beginning of the year, until I looked at the rosters, who is 17? I mean, I didn't go to many practices. So looking at the two deep in the depth chart, I went, wow, he's jumping off the page at me. And so, he's played phenomenal in both games. And he's really, really played well against Ball State. Yeah,
just like Atkins, Cobb, Falk. DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday you order, stacking it up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. All right, final few minutes of the week before Auburn plays football again. I made the pick yesterday, and I like it. I'm sticking with it. Auburn 34, South Alabama 17.
Wow, I think that's so low on both fronts. But I can see. I think that South Alabama
too.
South Alabama gives up a lot of points. I think Auburn's going to get into the 40s, and I think South Alabama's offense is a lot better than Ball State's, not like Baylor. So I'm predicting 45-21.
Okay. 45-21. So neither of us have Auburn covering FanDuel's 25.5. But you have the overhitting, and I'm right at it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let us know in the comments down below. A few other questions. Who leads Auburn in receptions tomorrow, I will go Horatio Fields.
So I was going with. I'm not going to go opposite just because you said Fields.
I want your opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to go with exactly who I think, and Horatio Fields is who I think is going to lead in receptions.
How many running backs get a carry for Auburn when the game is still in hand?
2.
So it's just Jeremiah Cobb and Omar Mabson.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I'm not counting jet sweeps and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just running backs.
Yeah.
Just running backs. So you don't think they get Alvin ready or...
You said when the game's still in hand.
Correct.
If Alvin and Justin Jones may get some carries if the game's out of hand in the second half.
Yeah, gotcha. But when the game's relevant...
Just 2.
You're saying just 2.
Yep.
Just 2. How many rushes do you anticipate seeing from non-running backs? So that could be receivers, that could be quarterback. What do you anticipate that looking like?
8.
8. 4 or 5-ish from Jackson, 3 from receivers.
Yes.
I'm there with you. We agree on everything so far. Deuce Knight played 14 snaps against Ball State. Does he play more or less than that against South Alabama?
Less.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Auburn is one of the best defenses in the country and in the SEC when it comes to wreaking havoc behind the line of scrimmage so far.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it early depends on who they've played. Ball State did, definitely helped those stats, but they were solid against Baylor too. And we think Baylor offensively is going to be good. What are you expecting to happen behind the line of scrimmage? What can Auburn force there? I mean, is it possible for them to get another 4-sack game against South Alabama?
I've nailed both sack totals, both games. I'm going to say 3 sacks.
Okay.
A ton of pressures and hurries where Auburn will finally have their turnover through the air as far as the way of interceptions. And I predict 2 interceptions by the Auburn secondary.
2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have them covering.
True.
Okay.
Very close to covering, though.
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah.
You're close.
Yeah.
2 picks. All right, well, keep calling your shot. Who gets them?
Crawford.
Let's go.
Harris.
Love that.
I got a question for you now.
Okay.
I texted this to you early in the week and you didn't respond, so I'm putting you on the spot, my friend.
Oh no.
Next time answer my text and I won't call you out like this.
That's so funny. Brian Smith did the same thing yesterday. Yeah. He's like, are you going to bring up the text? I said, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Let's say there's a scenario later in the year where Auburn's really struggling with pass pro from the running backs. Whether Alston because of his shoulder, Cobb, who's got to get better at that. Is there an H-back scenario or a tight end scenario that Auburn could put in the backfield? We don't have a traditional fullback. I get that. But is there somebody that Auburn can stick in the backfield if they need that desperately to chip, to help with pass pro down the line against SEC opponents?
I don't think so. I'm just thinking like who would that now they could just put a tight end back there.
Is it Tate Johnson somebody that could go back there and just line up as an H-back and off? Now he'd be perfect as far as
I'd almost rather have Frazier do it.
Yeah, and just line him up, single set, and of course you know what's coming if that happens. I mean, if Auburn puts that formation out there, you're like, they're not running the football. But still, I mean, they could run it. They could have Brandon Frazier in the backfield as an H-back, and they could run Singleton and jet sweep motion.
Yeah,
and then
I don't like that. But could they do it? Possibly. And I'm trying to think about this from like who would, if the defense saw somebody lined up back there that wasn't a running back, what's the most they would have to do in regards to respecting it? It's like Tate. No, I don't think so, because like there's no threat of it being a dump off and there's no threat of the run. And I don't think any of the options there's a threat of the run, but at least with Frazier or
there is a threat of the run. I'm going to give you a scenario.
Or Preston Howard.
Get in the shotgun, run Singleton in jet sweep motion, have Frazier there, and you're like, Are they throwing it? Oh, they're throwing it. Frazier's back there. I'm going to overplay, pin my ears back, and rush upfield. And guess what? RPO, don't hand it off to Singleton. Do like you did against Baylor, and Arnold will, if you get that by that initial wave, you gone.
I got you.
You have to keep it honest, because if you put an H-back there or a tight end back there, they're going to go, they're not running it. They're throwing it. They have him back there for pass pro. It would just take one time to run Singleton on the jet sweep doing that. And if he gets by the initial wave of people.
You also could just do like a QB power type situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to keep them honest. And then they go, oh, well, they can do that. And then you don't. You just pass and boom. There's options there. I'm just thinking if you ever had to devise or put somebody back there, if your pass pro is getting killed with your running backs, is there an option? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had to guess, that does not happen, but it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to see for sure.
There you go.
For sure. Especially in short yardage stuff. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410. You can follow me Wednesdays and Fridays here with you. And then Sundays we do obviously the thing with Kyle at 8, but let's not forget that we still do our Sunday reaction show that drops at 6 a.m.
Yep. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.